I'm here. I'm here. I got these set up. We're all good. We got the movie open. Remember, movie starts at 6 o'clock, guys, or 5 o'clock, or 8 o'clock, and 7 o'clock. It starts on the hour. I'm going to run through every time zone. I got my laptop here so that I can monitor chat and tweet while watching the movie on my screen here. I don't know how this setup's going to work very well, but we're going with it. It's 1 a.m. for Dangerville. I mean, they got gypped. All right. I just devoured that Subway sandwich. I had to get that down quick. All right. I got the finger on the trigger ready to go. And we're starting. Oh, shoot. I almost left my desktop audio on. That was going to get me copyright claimed. That would have been good. All right. The movie's off. I'll put Godzilla on screen to signify that the movie's underway. I love this movie. I'm so happy to be doing this. God, I love this film. Alright, I can't see my OBS. I can't see anything that's happening, so that's a bit of an oof on my part. But we got everything open. Movie's open. The movie when you can't... The moment when you can't find your Blu-ray power cord to watch along, that sucks. I'm so hyped about this, dude. First of all, can we just take a minute to appreciate this awesome soundtrack? Because it's really good. If you don't have the stream link for the film, hardly, just shut your eyes for 2 hours. It's a perfect stimulating experience watching the Blu-ray. Yeah, because you can't see anything anyways. It's okay. I don't want an early tonight anyways. I didn't want an early tonight anyways. I'll just have to imagine where you guys are. We're still in the opening. It's still doing the big build up. We're about to see Godzilla come up on land. Such a great movie, dude. I love this movie. And there he is, the big spines in the water. I remember my initial reaction to this film when I very first saw it. During this section, I'm not going to lie, I was genuinely a little worried and disappointed when this sequence was on because it was so reminiscent of the 98 film. I was convinced it was going to be like that. And then when Godzilla comes up here and gets blown up, it's so badass. And I understand that you guys are technically going to be ahead of me if you started along with me, because there is a stream delay. So you're going to be watching. I'm caught up with you guys, but I'm not going to seem caught up with you guys, but I am. So right now we're fading into Godzilla. I remember being disappointed in theaters as well that it wasn't that badass trailer font for Godzilla. See, this wasn't a film that brought tears to my eyes when I watched it, I don't think. I don't remember that happening. But I do love it. Godzilla Geek 2004, thank you very much for the donation. He says, D-Man, where can I watch along? You have to just watch it on your own, so digitally there is no place to go to watch along with us. I'll pull up Twitter here. See what everyone's saying on Twitter, because I don't have Twitter open. Alright. I don't know what to look at on Twitter here. I don't know, like, where should I be looking on Twitter? Who should I be watching with? I'll watch with Gareth Edwards. I got Legendary pulled up. There's so many coal miners in this sequence. Like, an unrealistic amount of human beings are packed into this small area. It's absurd. Garrett's got his cup of tea. The title sequence was done by Kyle Cooper and his team. My previous job was making title sequences, so first chance I had asked to work with Kyle. First chance I asked to work with Kyle. Personal hero. That's what Gareth said. This was spoiled for me. This was the first movie spoiler I can remember getting spoiled for me, was that Serizawa, or Ken Watanabe, was playing Serizawa. Because that's not something they revealed in the trailers, right? But that did get spoiled for me when I got to the theater, or before I got to the theater, because I had looked up Dr. Serizawa looking for a picture of the original Dr. Serizawa, and Ken Watanabe came up, and so I went, it must be the same character. He must be playing Dr. Serizawa. I don't have a timestamp that I could provide. I'll tell you, I'm at 4 minutes, 49, 50, 51, 52. So they're in the cave right now. This whole movie is just great with building tension. And I love the bones here. Now we know that it's Dagon or Dagon that they're standing inside of. Yeah, the fossils are lighting up as we speak. Not entirely sure how they turned this into a Monarch outpost, but they sure did, didn't they? Yeah, we are at 5:25, 26, 27. Fossil is hella big. It sure is. If I can find that damn power cord, I'll jump in. Try and jump in on like the 30-minute mark or the hour mark, because you're guaranteed to know where the 30-minute and hour mark are, so you're guaranteed not to miss that. Or just a 10-minute mark. You know what I'm saying? You're guaranteed not to mess that up if you press play on the right time. Gareth Edwards just says he stole the watch he stole Serizawa's watch. He stole the prop for it, which is pretty interesting. The Monarch logo is designed to represent the nexus between myth and science. I didn't know that. And now they're about to look out this big hole. This was another thing that I remember in the trailer, obsessing over, was that shot of Serizawa looking up in the light. I thought it was so cool. I don't know what I should be tweeting right now. I feel like I should tweet something. Is Janjira, Japan a real place? I don't think it is. And I believe that's Mount Fuji you can see there. But I don't believe this is a real place. It might be, though. Maybe I'm silly? Is it a real place? Oh, thank you for the donations, guys. What does the tweet mean, special guest Gareth? The tweet means that Gareth Edwards is the one tweeting. Gareth Edwards is the one on the Godzilla Twitter tweeting to us. All the people in the chat gave an F. On Demand has ads. Oh no! Give an F. On Demand has ads. Oh man. I started it scuffed F. Damn, Danzilla Lopez. Thank you very much for the donation, though. That sucks. What are you guys saying about Janjira? Is it a real place? Janjira does not exist. I didn't think it exists. Damn. Gareth just tweeted a picture of a dude with a severely messed up jaw that was cut from the film. I can see why they would have to cut that from the film. They do discuss this dude with the jaw that's broken off in the novelization. That's still so funny that he stole the watch. I wonder how Bryan Cranston's Japanese here is. I wonder if it's like good or if it's very bad. I feel like I got food all in my teeth because I just swallowed that sandwich whole. You're out of luck. Can't you, I guess if you don't, can you not watch it? Do you not have it digitally? I remember being in the cinema and some people laughed when he spoke Japanese purely because he spoke Japanese. It was so silly. Classic. From what I heard, he did a good job. It sounds like he does all right, if you ask me. I mean, I'm clearly not an expert, but I'm taking Japanese lessons. He sounds like he does all right. I love this movie, dude. I just do. It's the most atmospheric Godzilla movie I think there is outside of the original. And Godzilla Raids Again, I actually think, is a little bit more atmospheric. I don't know what to tweet. I'll just tweet whatever. I don't know what to tweet. It took me so long to figure out what Kenji says right here, where he says X means minutes. This is minutes, not days. And I never understood what he was saying. He doesn't even have that thick of an accent, but it took me longer than it should have to figure out what he was saying. I like how on top of this I am. There's so much going on here. I'll be better by the time we do this next. I'll be a little bit more refined in what I'm doing. See, that sounds good. His Japanese here sounds good when he just calls in on the walkie-talkie. There's also one of the more emotional sequences. This didn't necessarily get spoiled for me. What I thought happened was that Sandra got quarantined when I saw those original trailers. I thought she got quarantined and stuck inside this locked-off zone. I didn't realize that she died up until there was one trailer where he was crying, and it was like, oh my god, maybe she's dead. And then when I watched the movie, of course she dies. Luke's timed up perfectly? Nice. Are you timed up perfectly with me, or are you timed up perfectly with the movie? Quentin Tarantino actually said this moment made him cry. I did not know that. That's pretty sweet. Gareth says the nuclear power plant they filmed in was actually a sewer that smelled very bad. God, I love this movie. I'll put my water over here. I do not like Godzilla 2014. Congratulations. Congratulations for that groundbreaking opinion. What part of the movie exact? I am at 12:10, 12:11, 12, 13, 14. Sandra's running down the hallway. I don't remember what my first reaction to her death was, though, if I'm honest. I don't remember if it was something I found heartbreaking because I, by this point, knew she was going to die. I knew that she was going to get closed off. But man, it is painful to watch when he has to come face to face with her. And I think Bryan Cranston does a phenomenal job in this movie. I know everyone agrees that Bryan Cranston is pretty much the highlight of this film, but I think he does such a great job in this movie, man. I also like this whole opening bit. I mean, this movie kind of starts with two cold opens. It starts with the 50s open, which is awesome. I love tying Godzilla back to 54. I'm very glad they did that. And I love the 90s stuff as well. I think this is such a great setup for the movie. I think this movie is just really great with setup in general. And I know a lot of people will argue about whether the payoff is worth it. But I don't think you can deny how expertly crafted the setup in this film is. And man, this scene's heartbreaking. Thank you, Jamie X Films, for the donation. I think the CG looks really good. I do too. I don't think the CG smoke coming down the hall looks as good as Godzilla, but I think the CG in this film's really good as well. Yeah, I agree. I was looking at one shot today that we'll talk about when it comes up. It's with Godzilla. Oh man, it looks amazing. Is there a weird yellow flickering on this scene? Is that like a light behind him, or is that just my transfer being silly? I'm not actually watching the Blu-ray. I'm not watching the online version. I'm watching the MP4 that I have ripped from the Blu-ray that I used to edit with because I knew this one wouldn't lag. And then there's our first Mothra Easter egg, right? You got the butterflies on the wall. Oh, man, I ate that up back in 2014. This was the first movie I went multiple times to the theaters for in order to look for Easter eggs. This was the first time I went Easter egg hunting in a movie. You didn't see the yellow lights? Maybe it was just mine, but someone else saying it was a lens flare, so. I'm on the scene where Ford is watching the factory fall in. And man, the score here is so emotional. It's such a powerful score. All right, we're 15 years later now. Such a powerful score. Hey, Adrian was able to jump in. How old were you when this first came out? I was 14. Just like I am now. Here's everyone's favorite character, Aaron Taylor Johnson. Still to this day, I do not have a problem with Aaron Taylor Johnson in this movie. San Francisco's an interesting choice. I wonder if they're going to comment on why they picked San Francisco. Because it is an interesting choice to set a Godzilla movie. I'm going to have to go through all these tweets after the fact, because there's no way I can keep up with tweets, chat, and the movie. I already miss Daddy's Home Cake every night. How did I miss everyone's favorite line? Some people have religious missions, spread the word of God. My goal is to spread the word of Godzilla 2014. It's a criminally underrated film. I was 13. Somehow I saw this film opening night unplanned. I saw this film opening night. I could talk about that for a little bit. I did not think it was going to happen. I was in 7th grade at the time, and oh man, I'd been waiting for this movie to come out. Like, I had been ready for this movie to be out. Also, I always wondered what joke he's telling here that makes her laugh. I know I totally just got derailed by the film. I always wonder what joke he's telling that makes her laugh. The Addie's Sergeant joke. And the novelization does not... The joke that you read in the novelization is not as funny as the response she gives. Just saying. But man, I was in 7th grade when this movie came out, and I was so ready for it to be out. I was so ready. And I didn't think I was going to get to. You know, my dad was supposed to pick me up from school, and we were supposed to go. I had a Greek fair that day. So it was like just a thing my school did where all the 7th graders would celebrate Greek mythology, which is what we learned in 7th grade, by making, we would make like games for the 6th and 8th graders to play. And I made a Hydra game, and it was Hercules versus the Hydra or whatever. Maybe it wasn't actually a Hydra. It was a different monster. It was a dragon like the Hydra. I don't remember what its name is, though. But, man, I was so hyped about that. And it was like such a perfect day. It was like, you know, we got the Greek fair, so no schoolwork. Got the Greek fair and then got Godzilla. And my dad couldn't make it. He couldn't pick me up. He was stuck at work. And I had no ride. And I was desperate to see this movie. And I sat there on the side of the road. And I was like heartbroken. I just sat there on the side of the road outside my school, just heartbroken. Oh, I was so upset. And then my dad pulled up and he was like, all right, got off work. And it was, I don't know, it was like perfect because he got off work and then we were not convinced we were going to make it. We missed the showing we were going to go to and we made it to a real late night showing and we got to see it later at night. And it was awesome, man. It was awesome. I was 13. Oh, I was in year 13. And I had classes the next day, but begged my parents to take me to the nearest IMAX to see, which was a good hour and a half away. Yeah, I saw an IMAX as well. The one I went to was the first IMAX showing that we could get into, and I believe it was in 3D. I believe that was the compromise. We didn't want 3D, but it was the only way. So we had to watch it in 3D, and I still think I have my 3D glasses somewhere. Here's our little visit to Tokyo. I know some people get offended at this, about the fact that we visit Tokyo but don't actually spend time there. Guys, welcome to America. This is a film made by Americans. We don't need the film to be set in Tokyo. It can be set in America. Otherwise, what's the point? Yeah, that emo kid is so interesting. I'm watching the DVD version. Not sure if it's as bad as... Not sure if this is the bad one or the good, or one of the good transfers of the film. Yes, they exist. We'll find out soon. I don't know, man. The Blu-ray I'm watching is a bad transfer. I can tell you that. Everything is already dark, and by the time it gets to the nighttime stuff with Godzilla, it will be almost impossible to see. My Godzilla 2014 folder, which is comprised of screenshots from this transfer that I'm watching right now, it's like pitch black. I appreciate how much the film travels through the origins of the creatures, essence being in Japanese and respect the original. I agree. I very much agree. Wish there was a way I could update my tweets easier than the way they're currently being updated. I always liked that line. My job's not dropping bombs, it's stopping them. I always liked that. And I think Cranston gives his most emotional performance in this scene, especially when he comes to look out the window here in a second. There's our first idea of echolocation in the MonsterVerse, something we are still talking about to this day. It's the echolocation is the exact way that Mothra was able to find Godzilla. I have a theory that my PAL version looks different to the NTSC version. I've never had an issue with mine, but when I go to Chicago for G-Fest, it was on TV, it was so dark. That could be possible. It could be that the American transfers or the, I don't know, Region 1 transfers look bad. I like the metaphor here of the teapot screaming, boiling over. You know, he's about to hit his breaking point. Good stuff. And man, when he's looking out the mirror or the window here, it's the most emotional stuff. And when he originally said that line, I do remember being confused when he was like, "Your mom's out there." I was like, "Oh my God, she is? This movie's going to be a rescue mission." She's dead. But man, every line Bryan Cranston gives in this film is like so iconic. Just because the trailers played up the lines so much. They're awesome. I remember asking the prop department to make a book written by Serizawa to put on the shelf behind Aaron in the scene. They gave it to me as a gift, and I stupidly forgot it, and I stupidly forgot to put it on the shelves in time. Wow, well, there you go. So Joe was supposed to be reading a book by Serizawa. That's from Gareth Edwards. What movie do you like more, Godzilla 2014 or King of the Monsters? I can't say. What if Billy made a song for Godzilla? It'd be perfect, man. That'd be everything I wanted. The sun over the mountains shot, doesn't that look like something you'd see in Kong Skull Island? That's a little bit of an awkward shot when Joe looks up and sees Ford staring at him. I don't know, Ford just kind of had an awkward stance right there. For people wondering, I'm at 23-24. I don't exactly know how this argument wins Ford over, but thank God it does so that we could get the rest of the movie. We actually shot a scene that went at the end of this sequence for Ford falling asleep watching Toho movies. The Ford watching old monster movies, that is something that's retained in the novelization. So that's what Gareth said on Twitter. That is something that is retained in the novelization. Ford lays on the couch and he can't sleep at night and he turns on old 50s B movies and he watches those. They weren't Toho movies specifically, but yeah. If you're a second ahead of me, that's probably because of the stream delay. That's not because I'm behind, because I started mine exact on the dot. So we're probably caught up together. It's just that mine is the stream has a delay, so it's gonna seem like I'm behind, but I am caught up with everyone. I'm at 24, 35, 36, 37. I love the reoccurring whatever it takes line as well. I think that's a great line. If you're reading this, are you still writing your Godzilla story? If yes, then how's it going? I am still writing my Godzilla story. It's going very well. The soundtrack in this film is so good. This is one of my favorite songs on the soundtrack. I just think it's very atmospheric and cool. I wonder who this other guy is, because there's 3 people on the boat right here. I know he says he has his friend who takes him to the docks, but I wonder what that guy's up to. I wonder what he thinks of this whole situation with the Titans. Man, the atmosphere in this movie is amazing. All these shots of the flooded streets just look great. Y'all ready for the Mothra reference? It's about to happen soon. I caught it in theaters. I didn't catch it. I think I had to go my second time is when I saw it, because my friend told me specifically to look for it because he saw it and I did not. I always think this shot always makes me chuckle because I think he looks silly when he takes his mask off, but he's still got his hoodie on. Man, this film hits differently now. Quarantine where you have to wear masks. Sounds a little familiar. Thank you so much, Jamie X Films, for the donation. He says, what I like about this film is it's not a kaiju film. It's a drama thriller with kaiju in it. I agree. I really like that aspect of it. That's probably why King of the Monsters off-putting to me. Not that it was bad. It was a Godzilla film that respects its roots. I think we have room for both. I think there is room for both, and I appreciate the difference. We're about to see Mothra. Right there, baby! There's Mothra. What do you think Ford thinks about Mothra? right? Because Ford clearly named his pet moth Mothra. And years later, Monarch is calling the giant moth goddess Mothra. Yeah, moth.ra. Maybe it was like gonna be like moth.randy, and the moth's name is Randy. Is that the third actor to play Ford in one movie? This scene's sad when he looks up and sees the birthday sign. Sad moment. Yeah, I think the novelization does a fantastic job fleshing these characters out. I really do. The sign he never saw. I know. More clever visual metaphors in the bug tanks. See, Gareth doesn't even mention that it's Mothra. Every movie should have a post-apocalyptic city with stray dogs. Here's one of the plot conveniences in this film that a lot of people will pick issue with, is the fact that the police right here decide to take our heroes towards the facility rather than away from the facility. But I think it makes sense given the circumstances, right? They're undergoing massive EMPs, and I think people who give that complaint don't give it enough credit, because there is reason, you know, they are taking them there for a reason. I just would have thought that Monarch might take a little better care of the road here. It's the road driving into the facility, right? They still have power on, which I guess good for them for that, but you'd think that they might take a little better care of the streets so that they don't have to swerve around all these cars. Our time with Joe is about to be cut short. Yes, it is. I remember seeing one of these shots in the trailer of the Muto hive going up, right? But that comes actually after the Muto hive gets electrocuted and turns off. But man, I was convinced in the trailers that that was Godzilla's neck leading up to his head. And I guess now in retrospect, with the red glowing exposed bits underneath, which kind of is giving me trypophobia to look at now, but those red exposed bits, very Shin Godzilla-esque in retrospect, if that was his neck. I love the scale in this film. I know I'm just saying all the things that everyone always says about this movie, but I think the scale in this movie is really awesome as well. And I think the Muto's hive is one of the more interesting parts of this film. I think the hive is super cool, and I love the sounds that the Mutos make. They make such interesting noises. That would have been a Shin Godzilla looking neck. That's what I'm saying. I remember in university, and we're thought about trailers, teacher said they can be deceiving. The Godzilla trailer was brilliant, but the film can be terrible. I raised my hand and said, "You are wrong." She was wrong, or he was wrong. They were wrong. Imagine having a fear of holes. You don't understand. This was the scene that really solidified it for me. When I got to this scene in the movie, I had analyzed those trailers like no one's business. I'm not talking I had watched trailer breakdowns back in the day. I had analyzed the trailers over and over again before I was even doing YouTube just for myself. And in this moment, I realized that we had heard all of Joe Brody's dialogue except for the whatever it takes. And so this was the nail in the coffin where I went, okay, my man's dead. I like how I look at the chat, and the first thing I see is a dude asking me about Billie Eilish, middle of Godzilla 2014. Middle of the best monologue in this film. God, he delivers such a powerful performance here. One of the famous behind-the-scenes images that was released is me pointing to Bryan Cranston like I'm giving him direction, but I was just pointing out the paparazzi guy. That's from Gareth. Nothing about the film, nothing boring about the film if you pay attention to the details. I agree. I do wish this film did a little bit better of a job explaining the electromagnetic pulse. I wish it wasn't left to the novelization to get the explanation of why the Mutos have it. I love that Stone Age line. Yeah, I wish we got a little bit better of an explanation for it, because in the movie it does seem pretty random. What scene are you at? I am at 3247. The Muto is hatching. Or is about to hatch. I'm also wearing my Godzilla 2014 shirt in honor of the film. I also think Serizawa should have had more to do in this movie. I don't think he has nearly as much to do in this film as he should, and I'm glad Michael Dougherty gives him a lot more to do in Godzilla King of the Monsters. There's the classic Sally Hawkins. Pay attention to how many times she does this in the movie. She's constantly putting her hand over her face. Time to turn down the volume for the scene to not disturb my neighbors. Yeah, this does get a little loud. That's the biggest dick move of the MonsterVerse, leaving Ford in the back of that van while this happens around him. I don't understand Monarch's thinking here with the little net. That little wired net was never going to work, ever. I don't know why they thought it would. Especially given what we know now about the MonsterVerse. Godzilla 2014, it makes sense, right? It makes sense why they would think this in Godzilla 2014, because they don't know what they're up against. You know, they're firing these electric bolts, which I think is actually really cool. It's kind of our first setup towards a maser tank, right? Think about it. It's something firing lightning at this big Muto hive. Kind of our first sort of semblance of what the masers would be in the MonsterVerse. And in this movie, it makes sense why they would have this as their containment grid. But given what we know about the MonsterVerse now, given that we know they've been up against King Kong by this point, why did they ever think this would be able to stop a Titan? No idea. The net was a great idea, in theory, exactly. I really like this sequence, though. Such like a horror movie scene. It's even comes equipped with a jump scare right here. So creepy, all that gross goo, and then it's about to just fly out at him. There you go. And I love the Muto's roar, man. I think the male Muto, or the Hawk Muto, as I'm pretty sure he's known, is I like the male Muto a little more than the female Muto. I think the wings are pretty sweet. I really think the sound design is the best thing about this. One of the best things about this movie. Although I will point out when we get there, there is a sequence that I think has sound design that is severely lacking, but we are far from that. I just love the Muto's reveal. Such a chaotic sequence. I love all the flashing and all the quick panning, and it really does add this crazy level of energy to the movie. I think it's great. The male Muto kind of sounds like a zombie from World War Z. Maybe I'll have to rewatch World War Z because I don't recall. This is a great shot right here. Imagine what's going through his mind right now. Looking at the thing that killed his wife, knowing he was right the whole time. Damn, dude. Ford really do be stuck in that truck. I think I got one of the good transfers. I can actually see the Muto without the flashing. Well, that makes one of us, because I can't. But I love this, too, where the Muto realizes just how fragile the human world is. That all he has to do is pull and he can bring the whole entire containment grid down. And this is one of the first dominoes in the film. We get the domino cranes, and then we're going to get the domino planes in a minute. Not entirely sure how this frees Ford. I feel like that would have just broken his arm. Probably would have freed him after it snapped his hand off. But he gets out. And that poor man is dragged down to his death. And here it is. The most tragic scene in the MonsterVerse. And there goes Joe Brody. And this Muto's reveal right here is awesome. When he climbs up over Ford, look at that, man. Just the scale. Everyone always talks about how great Gareth Edwards is with scale, and there's a reason for that. Look at this sequence. Look how huge this guy is. And that poor man gets stomped on. I like the quick thinking of Ford here to put on the mask. The wings, dude, they're just so cool. The male Muto's such an awesome monster. I do feel like the male Muto should have just caused a whole lot more damage when he took off into the air. Yeah, cute baby blue, exactly. They're pretty good, but there's not enough of the large scale moments. I don't know. I think the scale in this movie is pretty fine. I think if they had done any more, it would have been annoying. Will you be doing this for the other movies? I will be doing this for the other movies. Let's see what Gareth has to say about Bryan Cranston. Cranston knocking this scene off the far... Oh, that's totally not what he's talking. He's totally talking about something different. All set pieces in this film, blah, blah, blah. Oh, you're referring to King of the Monsters. I get you. I agree with the... I think they could have done more large-scale moments in King of the Monsters. The Muto is one of the hardest designs to nail. You're messing with the look of the Muto till the last possible second. Seems Gareth is avoiding talking about the hard-hitting subjects here. But he is sharing some dope concept art of the Muto, so that's pretty sweet. This is a dynamic that they should have played more on, because Serizawa clearly knows that this guy's worth talking to, and he never gets to talk to him. We don't get one single sit-down conversation between the two of them in this movie. That's a shame, man. 15 years later, would the city really be that overgrown? Actually, you know what? I take it back. It absolutely would, because it's a Muto. It's a Titan. So it doesn't matter, because the Titan has Titan radiation. So absolutely, yeah, the city's overgrown. Never mind. I take it back. And the piano that plays here, too good. But right here, when this scene did come in the theater, I knew absolutely that Joe was going to die because he gives his whatever it takes. Right there. If anything, they probably should have let us know that this was Joe's death, because not telling us that this is Joe's death kind of ruins the reveal here in a minute, because it kind of takes away the emotion of this scene. The Saratoga. I remember watching this clip over and over again. This was one of the few clips of the movie that was released on YouTube while the movie was still in theaters. This was played on some news network, and oh man, I ate it up. I watched that clip so many times trying to memorize the acronym, trying to memorize what massive unidentified terrestrial organism meant. because I could never remember. Back when Muto was still the term. I do miss that. I think that massive unidentified terrestrial organism is cool. I wish they would have stuck with that. And understand that people will say, oh, but that doesn't apply anymore because you've got things like Ghidorah. I don't care. I think it is better than Titan. I don't know. I've always been not the biggest fan of the term Titans, but in this case in particular, I wish Muto had stuck. And it's even used in Kong Skull Island and both comic books. So, I wish they had stuck with Muto. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that reveal that he's dead. I've always felt it was a bit underwhelming. Titan doesn't feel right. Muto has an explanation. Makes sense. I agree. Trying to see if Gareth mentions the Bryan Cranston's death. I don't think he's gonna. But this is one of my favorite moments in the movie. This little briefing that they give Ford. I like how they have music playing over it. Back in the day when this was still Godzilla's origins. I prefer these as Godzilla's origins in the MonsterVerse. Him being awakened in 1954, I think works a lot better than him being awakened in the 40s and only coming ashore in 1954. I am disappointed that Godzilla Aftershock retconned that. So far underground that they wind up in the hollowest of Earths, in fact. Dr. Graham did deserve better. I agree. I still think Aftershock should be considered... Oh, I think you mean Awakening should be considered non-canon. Or at least soft canon, where some elements taken but not all. Supposedly, that is the case. Supposedly, Aftershock... Or... Now I'm doing it. Supposedly, Awakening is soft canon, where the events happened, but maybe the timeline is wrong. I don't know. It's like Doherty looked at this scene and decided, I like this. I'm going to do it 13 times in my film. That's funny. I wonder why. It's a pretty sweet scene. Nautilius was the code name for our film to keep it a secret while filming. I don't even remotely know how to pronounce that name. I've always considered Godzilla Awakening to be soft canon. Fair enough, I don't blame you. I don't hate Ford. I think right here he's doing a good job. I don't know how Serizawa and Monarch does not know this, though. Like, I feel like they should know this. But oh man, we get the best line in the movie right here. This is my favorite line. Let them fight comes in second. Oh, that line is so good, dude. It gets me every time. Serizawa has the same issues in King of the Monsters. He should know what Mark does, but he just doesn't, and it's baffling. It's even baffling for him. Everyone's constantly telling him things. I feel like he should know way more than he does. We call him Godzilla. Thank you very much for the donation, Alden Tolbert. They should keep Joe alive. I love Brian plays Joe. Me too. I remember always reading people trashing on the bending phone right here. Yeah, even the chat's talking about the bent up phone. I like how they didn't give Ford the picture of his family back. What a dick move, Monarch. When Warner Brothers said they'd have a special guest, I thought it was going to be Aaron Taylor Johnson. I figured it was going to be Gareth Edwards. How does she not have her phone on her at all times? She should really, if she wants to make sure Ford was alive. Because she has no reason to think that he isn't. Has she not been in contact with him yet? Did he not call her when he was on the Saratoga or let her know? Maybe you're right. Maybe she should have. But also, I don't know. I don't blame her. You can't blame her for setting her phone down. Damn, Takashi. I don't actually remember what his name is. Kid has a name. It's something like Takashi. Something like that. So, he's named in the novelization, but I don't remember what his name is. She hasn't been in contact yet. He just called her to say there was an accident in Japan. Well, yeah, you're right. Yeah, but true. She thinks he's just in Tokyo, and everything happened in Janjira. So she may not have a reason to think that he is in danger because he shouldn't have been in Janjira. He should have been in Tokyo. I wonder what they're watching on screens right now. Like, who are they monitoring? Are they already monitoring the soldiers in Hawaii? I guess we're about to find out. Yes, they are. That's absolutely what they're monitoring. Never mind. Movie answered my question. Maybe I should have just waited a couple seconds. I like the pan into the lizard here, though. It reminds me of the chameleon. It reminds me of the dragonfly in Kong Skull Island. What time are you at? 5:33, 34, or 50? 50, 37, 38, 50, 39. And I really like this above shot. Very Predator. The shot reminds me of the movie Predator a lot. I love this reveal here. Muto's good at this, dude. The Muto's good at hanging out right in the frame and only slightly moving until you figure out what he is. This is the second time in the movie he does it, but he's about to do it again at the airport. Cat's out of the bag, doctor. I'm going over to Rob's. Check back later. All right, see you self-elevation. Elevation. I always say elevation. I don't even think that's a word, whatever I say. Why does he tell her to stay here? Why does he tell her to wait? Why can't she come see Godzilla with him? How did no one hear his footsteps till he was like 100 feet away during that train scene? Because we heard his footsteps during the scene of him coming out of the thing in Janjira. He's not the loudest of monsters, is he? Kaiju are notorious ninjas. Absolutely. Godzilla is in this film as well. I love how he gets annoyed at the things flying in the air. It's pretty wild that he knows exactly how to deal with them, though. I'd assume the Mutos must be crazy intelligent if he can figure this out. Or maybe he doesn't know. Maybe this is where he learns what that does, because he's about to use this power for the whole rest of the movie to his advantage. Yeah, this is a very dark sequence. It's possible the monsters use EMP. They can sense the electricity. It is possible that he could sense the electricity. That is very true. This is such a great moment in the franchise history. This entire section, starting here, going until the airport is done. Man, it's so good. Earlier in the script, in the early scripts, Muto meant massive unidentified target organism. I did not know that. But there's the dorsal fins, man. Kind of your Jaws shot right there. A lot more terrifying than a shark. Good of Godzilla to be courteous, to go under them. Not about to give the same courtesy to these other ships that he's about to knock out of the way. I mean, he doesn't plow through them or anything. He splits the difference, right? He threads the needle, but that wave doesn't number on those other ships. I'm convinced this dog dies. If we got Godzilla's main theme here, that would be epic. I disagree. I think Godzilla's theme should have been saved for the very end of the movie. We give Godzilla elephant feet, but we give the Mutos the power to cause power outages. The dog got free because he had sheer will, dude. This whole tsunami sequence is so great. And I know the marketing and trailers really played into the whole force of nature aspect here. And absolutely you can see why, because Godzilla's never caused something like this before. I know he doesn't mean to. I wish he would do something more like this more often, because it would be a little more consistent that way. But I love this moment. Just the noise he makes. Just that low gurgling as he slowly comes into frame. God, such a cool moment. And there he disappears behind that building. That building caused a lot of controversy, didn't it? I remember seeing people trying to calculate exactly how tall Godzilla should be based on that building's height. He should be 700 feet. Godzilla doesn't really make these too often in King of the Monsters. Yeah, he doesn't cause a tsunami in King of the Monsters. He causes a whirlpool at one point. But nothing like a tsunami. I agree. Doherty did improve his feet. Here's the Muto. I like how you can see him before he's lit up. It's not like he's not there and then he is. He's there the whole time. He's just in the darkness. I wonder why the Muto turns his EMP off, though. Because the Muto is the one who just turned the EMP off. But now he's being attacked by helicopters again. So you'd think that he'd reactivate it. I love that shot of him roaring in the train. I remember watching this movie and thinking the best place to hide would be on top of the... in between the seats, you know, to basically stand on the seat that Ford is holding on to. But I don't think it would have been as dramatic if that happened. But Ford's got some powerful arm strength there if he's able to hang on to that kid. And then, man, I was so hyped when the water washes up on that dude's feet. I was so hyped. I do wonder about the geography of this scene, though, because Godzilla's dorsal fins rise up there, which means Godzilla and the Muto are headed in the same direction. So I guess Godzilla has to loop around the airport really quickly right here in order to come face to face. But this moment, I did a whole video on this one sequence right here with the foot. Too good. The sound design is awesome. I love the build-up. Yeah, here's our other domino explosion. The choir building up with the weird baby whining. And there he is. And although I was disappointed in that roar the first time I heard that teaser, the teaser trailer, that roar has really grown on me. In theaters, I was disappointed at the cut. I sure was. I do like how you get to see some of the footage on the TV screen. I wish we could have seen more of the battle through the news than what we see. But yeah, I was definitely disappointed the first time I saw this movie in theaters. Yeah. I'm not anymore, though. I like the aftermath here. I think it looks really good. You're still disappointed? I've gotten over it. This kid wanders off more than anyone else. This kid's also got some mad plot convenience on his side. I've seen people criticize this as well. The fact that Ford can just join up with this random squadron. I don't think that's a problem. Because, talk about we're in an unprecedented situation. He is in an unprecedented situation. Everyone is. And this shot of Godzilla swimming by the aircraft carriers is so great. God, and Godzilla looks awesome when he swims, man. And here's our first course projection in the MonsterVerse. Something they will use to their advantage in King of the Monsters. Yeah, they're in such an unprecedented situation. I really don't think the army is going to be like, no, you can't join us. We don't need the help. I love how Stenz just has no idea what he's talking about. I wonder if this place that they're about to visit is a real place. I was just thinking that. The blue in this scene looks really nice. I always like the neon colors. I'm always a big fan of it. But I do wonder, is this place in Nevada that he's referring to real? This big just nuclear waste in a mountain? Is this something we actually have in the States? Because that's absurd that we would have this. I believe we do. I think this is real. But man, it's crazy. I don't know how a Muto fit inside here is always my problem. Is how the hell did they get not only a Muto spore in there, but how did no one notice that the Muto grew into a full-sized adult female Muto? I figured it was real. How does the Muto grow into a 300-foot tall Muto in the middle of a mountain without displacing enough rock, without causing earthquakes or whatever, to the point where people would notice? Where does it come from? Yeah, I get that it's real. I figured it was real. They had to have built around the spore. Yeah, but I don't think the spore was that big. I don't think the spore was 300 feet. And you can see they did not build around it, because you can see there's multiple levels of floor there. So clearly what happened was the Muto just grew over time inside its cocoon until it was this big. And then one day it woke up and burst out of the mountain. I still think that the female Muto's reveal is by far the most disappointing monster reveal in the movie. Even though I do like that moment a lot, and I really like this moment, I still think this is the most disappointing monster reveal in the movie. I just don't think it has the impact that that Godzilla or the other Muto have. But I like this song. And here's another Mothra Easter egg. I do believe, although they are supposed to be firefighters, I do believe that is supposed to be a Mothra Easter egg, regardless. This tunnel was actually a bridge with the mountain added digitally. So right behind all the destroyed hotels was the hotel we stayed in, and I became addicted to Dairy Queen. That's what Gareth Edwards is saying right now. And then I like how even Gareth is on Twitter right now making fun of everybody, saying, why didn't the director keep showing the monster fights? Is he crazy? It's a good question. Is he crazy? What was he doing cutting away every 5 seconds? I love that he's self-aware about it. Did Bryan Cranston sign up for only half a film? Well, he would have had to. Do you think this plan would have worked? Obviously, we know it wouldn't have killed Godzilla, but I actually do think this plan would have worked. Considering how injured the Mutos are by the atomic breath here later, I absolutely think that the Mutos would have died and Godzilla would have supercharged. So Godzilla probably would have also died. Because as we learned from Michael Dougherty, Godzilla would have died from... He would have exploded. Godzilla vs. Destroyer style, just less destructive. Had Mothra not given him the ability to vent his excess atomic radiation. Which means, actually, yes, I think the military's plan here would have worked. I think they would have been able to successfully kill all 3 monsters. That would have gone real poor for them, because then they wouldn't have had their protector to save them when King Ghidorah wakes up down the line. It's a shame the female Muto's reveal is basically the only day scene. I feel that. Dear people spamming in the chat, you are gonna get blocked here. I like this moment a lot, but It is confusing because this scene carries the implication that Serizawa's father died in Hiroshima. But, of course, that couldn't be the case because Serizawa is certainly not that old. Except that Godzilla Aftershock will tell us that Serizawa is that old. Or Awakening, I totally said the wrong name. Godzilla Awakening will tell us that he is that old, but he's not. And it will also tell us that Serizawa's dad lives through the events. Godzilla Awakening is such a goddamn mess. They need to fix that. Someone involved in the MonsterVerse needs to come out and explain the proper canon of that story, because it does not make sense. Serizawa is not an 80-year-old man in this movie. My man's barely 60 in this film. I think I'm going to reach out to people and ask them to explain the canon to me. Right here, Ford Brody is every YouTube commenter ever. And that is pretty much my response to every YouTube comment ever. Every time I get a comment like that, where they're just overly technical, blah, blah, blah. And that's the same way I am in film school, where they're overly technical with everything. And that's basically my response every time. Just, is my jaw supposed to drop? Like, we get it. We get it. There's our only other glimpse of daytime battling in this film. Muto versus the military. Wish Gareth would come back. Anyone know if he's making another movie right now? I do not know if Gareth Edwards is making another movie right now. Some filmmakers don't see their own work because of how self-conscious they can be in trying to fix their own mistakes. They do more wrong. Yeah, that is a problem. That's wow, I never noticed that footage in the back, surprisingly. It's pretty cool. I mean, we don't see much of it, right? It's just the Muto walking through the street getting shot, but it's pretty cool. And yeah, that is something that happens a lot. I think Adam Driver is a good example of that, an actor who can't watch his own films because it makes him too self-conscious. I've been calling you, but I didn't call you right back after you called me. Damn, there's some L. Brody hate in this chat. Before I made this film, I worked on a BBC documentary about Hiroshima, which I think subconsciously influenced the film. That's pretty cool. There's Gareth Edwards talking. I actually don't own this movie. Had to buy it off iTunes 15 minutes before this started. I think I'm becoming a fan. So I guess that's why people are talking about Gareth doesn't own this movie. I wonder if he owns the other MonsterVerse films. I wonder what Gareth Edwards thinks of the other MonsterVerse films, because he had a trilogy planned, and technically he is the one who walked away. He did not get fired. Gareth Edwards never got fired. He was 100% going to be welcomed back with open arms. He walked away from this project due to a number of problems with other studios, and so he walked away from this movie for himself, for his own personal, I guess, mental health reasons, really. But that when he walked away, he left with his plans for the trilogy. So I'm wondering, what does he think of the actual MonsterVerse itself, given the fact that it never stuck to his trilogy? You know? I'm just curious. I'd be really interested to hear his answer to that question. I know Stenz is supposed to be kind of the bad guy here, but I actually think he's right. As I just talked about, I do think that I think this plan could have killed the Mutos and Godzilla. I think Godzilla would have been supercharged and then would have overheated and died. And I think the Mutos would have died. And I think Serizawa was a little bit inconsiderate, but also Serizawa was right in the long run, because without Godzilla, we'd have no protection against Ghidorah, and then we're all dead. I really feel for him, going from a small indie film that he edited in his own bedroom to two of the biggest franchises in the world would be so mentally straining. And I think he is a good director to look at to see the effects of that, because I think it really did take a toll on him. And that's the reason he hasn't been as active ever since Rogue One, is because Rogue One really took a toll on him. And I agree. I feel really bad for him because I think he's a great director. For those of you wondering where we're at, I'm just going to block this Dark Wolf kid because he thinks he's funny and he's not. So the kid gets blocked. I really don't care about blocking people. It's very easy. How did Godzilla survive Castle Bravo? Well, because Castle Bravo wasn't as big. Yeah, Castle Bravo just wasn't as big. It was just a smaller nuclear bomb in comparison to what we see in modern day. So it wouldn't have had the effect. See what Gareth is saying on Twitter. I can't even check Legendary's Twitter right now. There's way too much happening. All the news footage was shot by me and someone else on consumer camcorders running around while soldiers imagining giant monsters was one of the most fun things in the whole shoot. So they just ran around with the soldiers while shooting that stuff. That's pretty cool. Castle Bravo probably gave Godzilla the recharge he wanted just after waking up, for sure. But you're wrong. He didn't just wake up. He had been awake for like a decade. What did that dude do to get blocked? He was just coming in the chat, just trying to insult me, and so I blocked him, because, like, what else am I going to do? I'm not going to try and fight him. I don't care. If you don't like me, you don't like me. Yeah, it just means I made his life easier. Now he doesn't have to watch my channel. Wasn't Castle Bravo the second largest nuclear explosion ever? Well, yeah, I think technically speaking, but also you have to remember that doesn't mean it's the biggest ever, right? That doesn't mean it was the biggest ever built. That just means it was the second biggest ever detonated. I actually don't know if it's the second biggest ever detonated. I know it's not the first, because the Tessar bomb's the first. But I think it's the biggest America ever detonated. I love the Muto there in the background. That shot with the soldiers, and you see the Muto in the background, is so freaking spooky. And I love the Muto in this sequence. The way he emulates, or she, oh, my bad. The way she emulates all the noises. Like, she's about to emulate that train, and she mimics the clicks of the walkie-talkies. God, I love the Mutos, dude. The real question is, why didn't the train stop? Like, do they really not feel the massive footsteps of this Muto? And can they not hear her? Oh, this is one of my favorite sequences in the movie as well. Can you tell I really like this movie? I love that, dude. I love that she emulates the sound of that. Just how big she is. Yeah, and their eyes are awesome. I love how she's just casually gonna eat them too. And there it is. The good old egg sack. Wasn't she already preggers in that scene? I think she probably was. Yeah, she has to lay the eggs and then the male Muto fertilizes them. It's not like a human where pregnancies don't work the same way. Okay, for insects and whatever the hell the Muto is. I do think Ford, boom, should have died right there. I love that little detail, too, of the train honking right before it hits the water. Just that. I think that's a funny little addition. She's carrying eggs, but waiting for them to be fertilized. So exactly what I just said. Oh, that's a good match cut. I never noticed that. I don't think I ever paid that much attention to the he's going under line. When you drowned under the water in that little POV shot. I love that idea that Godzilla is so big that he can cause that to happen. And that shot of Godzilla under the water right there, that's such a Shark Week shot. Is that not? Too good, man. This movie's too good. It does not get the credit it deserves. The warheads are fertilizer then. I think the warheads are like sustenance for the babies. I don't think they're technically the fertilizer. I think the male Muto still has to do the fertilizing off screen. I don't know. We never got to watch Sam Coleman's documentary on Titan reproduction, so I'm not entirely sure. Ford should have died. Any fall from over 20 feet should do some serious damage. Absolutely. That, unless the train hit first. And then I think Ford could probably live. If the train hit first and he were to fall into the splash, that would be a little bit more realistic. The song that plays right here is a really good song. It's one of the best in the soundtrack. The warheads are going to be used for food. Yeah, that's what I was saying. The warheads should have been used as, or the, what did I just say? I got confused. There's another good match cut, yells for a medic, and we cut to a medic. Good stuff. This movie is very well edited. I wonder how Elle didn't know that. I like Elizabeth Olsen as a blonde. I think she looks good as a blonde. This is me personally. Soundtrack here is really good as well. It's the same song, I think, technically, as the song that I just said is good. But yes, it is a good song. Ooh, nice. Gareth's sharing some concept art here on Twitter. Spent many months training this dog to walk away on cue. On the day the dog had no idea and sprinted, but the dog was right. It looked great. I wonder why they wouldn't have just used a CG dog then. The concept art shows the train hitting the water first, and then Ford hits second, which I think would have been a little more realistic. Elle should have gotten on the train here. Or on the bus. It's not a train. It's definitely a bus. Elizabeth Olsen does a good job in this movie. She doesn't have much to work with, but the scenes with her, I think she does a good job. Song right here is awesome. I think it is still technically this same song that I said was good, but it is a good song. It's amazing how little damage Ford Brody takes throughout this movie. He's the super soldier that we needed. This is another awesome scene. God, this scene had me so excited in the theater. Kind of got a little bit of a Godzilla 98 vibe here with all the police officers in their raincoats. A little reminiscent. I wonder where Ford is now. You think how strong he seems to be? They would keep him. Yeah. Awesome is it definitely is an understatement. This scene's pretty amazing. I agree. This film is very, very well made. This bridge was in too many movies. Yeah, I know. It's the Golden Gate Bridge. It's a cliche, but there's a reason for that, and it's because you can do a lot of awesome stuff on that bridge. Just Godzilla's noise over the background. I love that jump scare. I was watching this movie with my friend. I was showing this movie to him right before we went to see King of the Monsters, and that jump scare got him pretty good. And man, I love this moment. I love the music here. I'm a big fan of the music in this movie. I do find it interesting that Godzilla's swimming with his tail like this in order for that to happen. He's swimming so weirdly. He's have to be swimming like this for us to not see his back. But I love this reveal. Another great moment of scale where you just see how large that tail is. And I like how they open fire on the dorsal fins here. I think that's always cool. And that's a great shot of Godzilla rising up out of the water. And I don't know if the comments are going to mention it, though, where Godzilla's definitely significantly taller than he should be here. You feel he's crawling on the floor? I suppose. I mean, he does swim like this, right? This is such a cool part. I love that scene so much. God damn, I love Godzilla. His hands look so freaking cool. I love the I don't know, the texture of his hands. I don't know what you'd call that, but God, I love it. And here we are introduced to Godzilla's weakness, which has never been properly exploited in the MonsterVerse, which is his gills. The reason that this attack is so effective is because they are targeting Godzilla's gills, which aggravates and hurts Godzilla. And here we have our cutaway shot to a very much like 1,700 foot tall Godzilla right there. Godzilla has to be very large for that shot to be accurate. But you know what? It's called suspension of disbelief. The fact that it's all from human perspective is brilliant. I agree. I don't think that's something that the MonsterVerse should be locked down to. I think Kong Skull Island does a fantastic job of not doing that. But I absolutely think it works to this film's advantage greatly. And then just the fact that you don't even have to see the Mutos, that you can just get hit by the EMP and you, the audience member, know exactly what's up is so great. Maybe Godzilla can just grow. Ooh, I don't even know what that word is. I do remember this when I saw this in theaters, when she sees the dude falling from the sky parachuting. I thought that was going to be Ford parachuting in to come save her, and then when that plane crashed into the building, I realized that that was not the case, and then it clicked in my brain, oh yeah, they just got hit with the EMP, so everything's falling. But man, this is another intense horror movie-esque sequence that I think is really great. And then here, of course, Rodan. Rodan's first introduction to the MonsterVerse right there. There he is. Our favorite giant pterodon kaiju. I love the shot of the male Muto here coming up where he's inside the office building and you're looking out at him. It's right about to happen when he's trying to get the warhead off the boat here. I think it's so good. Yeah, exactly. Rodan confirmed big time. Right here, where they're looking at the male Muto. I love this moment. And the music here is awesome. And the shot where his foot comes down and grabs onto the building is sweet. I remember them using that in the, like, Godzilla this Friday or whatever. I remember them using that in the final little TV spots, and I thought it was so sweet. So cool how the male dives into the water, or dives into the warhead. Yeah, I agree. Or delivers, I don't even know what you're saying. I think it's all cool. And here's probably one of the most iconic shots of the movie. This little love scene. So sweet. I love the little Muto kisses. You can see the beams going down their eyes. So good. Yeah, so the babies, I think, grow with the help of the warheads, with the help of nuclear energy, even when they're not out of the... Did the stream just die? Even when... Did the stream down? Even when the warheads are not out? I can't tell if the stream's down or not. I'll try and check on it here without interrupting the movie's flow. Is the stream down? I can't tell. OBS says the stream's fine. Stream was funky, but it's not down. Well, that's good. Stream went down for a second. Stream's fine? Okay. Stream's fine for me. So I'm hoping it's fine for all of you. I'll turn this image of Godzilla on. It's nice and subtle. It is moving. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell it's moving because it's very small, but it is animated. Well, I was going to read some comments, but the stream kind of lagged there for a second. "10 out of 10 beautiful scene, ruined by the genitalia joke." I don't think it's ruined. I think the scene still stands on its own. When the Muto comes from the fog or the smoke, the audience went, wow. I think my audience had a similar reaction to that scene. It's really cool. See, the lagging of my stream is exactly why I'm not streaming this movie right now. It's why I decided that the MP4 was the way to go, and my Blu-ray player for my computer is unreliable. It often unhooks itself. Not even. The computer will just sometimes not register it, so it's very unreliable. Weird when they say it's genitalia when it's obviously not. Yeah, I think it's a dumb joke in King of the Monsters, but I also don't think it detracts from this movie. Oh, I'm going to shut up. I want to hear this line. Yeah! That's the greatest line in the movie. Right after the... Right after his final little nature has an order. Because, God, the nature has an order gets me every time. This shot. I've got some kind of embarrassing stories about it. I'm still streaming. YouTube may be down for you, but it's still going for me just fine, which means that this will be a good video after the fact. But God, when Godzilla stands up right there, so freaking good that I remember when this movie came out, I used to stand up like that because I thought it was so cool. I see everyone saying the stream's all crazy. I don't know why the stream's all crazy. I wish it wasn't. I wish there was something I could do about it. There's not much I can do about it. Never noticed how small the male Muto is. Yeah, he's a small guy. He's only 100-something feet. He's a small boy. Music here is good. It's not on the soundtrack, though. I wonder why. Yes, my internet's actually very bad at the moment. I'm on speed test trying to determine the issue, and my internet's very bad, which is why. I have semi-stable connection, which means this should go up as a solid video or something after the fact, but for whatever reason, my connection is super low at the moment, and I'm not entirely sure why. I wish there was something I could do about it, but I can't. So we'll just enjoy the Halo jump together. The most iconic scene in this movie. I like how I also checked Twitter to see Gareth saying every film should have giant monster sex. Yeah, there is lag every so often. Yeah, I really don't know why. What director cuts away from the monster fights again? Is he an idiot? That's the only reason I'm watching this. I love Gareth Edwards, dude. So when I shot this scene, mosquito landed on Ken's nose, and he carried on like a true pro and said, "Let them bite." Nice. And here's one of the best shots in Godzilla franchise history. Of the soldiers falling from the sky. That shot in the clouds is so crazy. This scene has so much atmosphere. This is the true atmospheric scene in cinema, man. Right here, though, I think the sound design is pretty messy. Why do we not hear Godzilla and the Muto? Why are they so muted? And Godzilla roars right there. I get it. Like I just said, it's to build atmosphere, to make things look a lot more eerie. I personally just think that the sound design in this sequence is a little awkward. But man, that whole falling sequence is awesome. And then right here, Godzilla should be making way more noise stomping around the city. It's also fun to think about. Yeah, I was just going to say, it's also fun to think about the fact that Andrew Russell just got murked. And then I look at the chat and everyone's typing, Andrew! Andrew! Poor kid, man. God, dude, I love the MonsterVerse so much. I know you can hear a faint Godzilla roar, but it should be so loud. Andrew. Hashtag rest in peace, little Russell. Hashtag rest in peace. Kid's dead, dude. Kid is so dead. Andrew. I love that that's just what the chat is right now. It's too funny, man. And this is such an awesome moment here with the Muto. And Godzilla's about to step out. Too freaking good. I like that little piano cue too, and then you see the tail rise up. This is so cool, dude. Godzilla's extended roar right here. Too good. There it is. Oh, man. Dude, I can't. This movie's too good. I love the kind of like chime effect. It's like a wind chime when the glass breaks is awesome. I think it sounds really cool. And that shot of Godzilla charging at the Muto is also really cool. And then when he grabs her, super sweet. This is kind of what I wish we got more of, was far back shots like that. Not to say that I think we should have had too much of that, but I wish we got a little bit more of that in this movie. That's one thing that I do appreciate about other Godzilla movies is I like when they show us shots like that a little more often. Thank you very much. Never lose your nerd for the donation. He says, I need Gigan in the MonsterVerse. I do not need that. That is something that I am okay without. I love the creepy Muto hive, too. It's super unsettling. And the noises it makes, that weird, like, whining. Or, like, squealing. Good stuff. I like how we still have an Andrew in the chat. Andrew! I love that too. When she's pushing all the cars, it's a good gag. Thank you very much, Professor McCoy's Pop Culture Reviews. Thank you very much, Professor McCoy's Pop Culture Reviews. Andrew is deader than our chances of getting a TriStar sequel. Damn, that hurts. L. Brody's almost going to be dead here in a second. And I like the way Godzilla overpowers the Muto here as well. The way he stomps on her chest and just puts all his weight on her. And right there is where Godzilla was supposed to use the atomic breath. Not like they cut that. I'm saying Godzilla was intending to use the atomic breath to finish off the female Muto right there, and gets cut short because the male attacks him. Of course, that was not a conscious thought that ran through my head at the time when I saw this movie. And I like the 2 against 1 idea here. It's something we haven't really seen since Terror of Mechagodzilla, I want to say. Maybe I'm wrong, but off the top of my head, this is not a dynamic we've seen since Terror of Mechagodzilla, where 2 monsters really just beat down on Godzilla. And that's the reason the Mutos are a formidable threat, because I think he could easily handle either one of them on his own, as he's able to. When he's able to single them off, that's when he kills them. But just the fact that the 2 of them together are such a good team, Godzilla can't even handle it. And yeah, Godzilla bleeds a lot in this movie. Gareth says, keep an eye out for the tiny soldiers on the rooftops when you see big shots of the monsters fighting. I wouldn't say Final Wars counts. Godzilla vs. Mothra 1992 had 2-on-1 fight scene too. Godzilla vs. What movie? Oh, Godzilla vs. Mothra. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Not quite to the extent of this movie or Terror of Mechagodzilla, though. And yeah, here's Godzilla losing the fight. Our hero's at his low point. Never quite understood how the Mutos could kill Godzilla. I guess they just stab him to death. I guess that's how they plan on killing him. You'd think they'd use the hooks a little more. The female Muto really just lays into him with brute force. The male seems to do all the stabbing and jabbing. They really do a number on him, though, don't they? I love Godzilla fighting style. He lashes out like a bear. Yeah, he's really cool in this movie. The way they have Godzilla fight, very animalistic. And Ford Brody is dead. That explosion definitely just killed him. For those of you wondering, I am at 1:43:19. I like the way the Muto flies away and does his little loop here. Not really sure what he's doing. I know he's kind of checking for a threat. And then the blue light started. And I squealed out loud like a child. Because it's so good, dude. Man, the atomic breath is too good, dude. And I frame by framed the atomic breath today just to watch it. And the way the atomic breath interacts with the Muto is so interesting. The way it flows, and I don't know. I think the atomic breath in this movie is super interesting. Especially when you frame by frame it. Did the stream die just at the atomic breath moment? Whatever, it'll all go up as a video after the fact. I'm not going to edit the film in here or anything. Yeah. But this will all be uploaded as a video post-stream. So you can time the movie up and watch it with me as well if you want to do it after the fact. See what Gareth says about the atomic breath, if he says anything. Believe it or not, Rocky films were an inspiration for this ending sequence. Your hero has to be has to have the living shit beat out of him, so you can cheer him on in the end. True. So the street is the main studio backlot in Vancouver and has been featured in so many movies. And here's Godzilla taking out the male Muto. I like this part where he throws him. Just the way he whips him around. This right here shows that Godzilla has no problem taking them out one-on-one. I love the way he times it. This takes some strategy, some skill. Boom. I like the arm falls off too. The Muto loses an arm there, and there's so much blood. Yeah, you can really see it in the 4K upscaled versions of this film, but there's so much blood on the Muto. That smack sound. And then here's the point where Godzilla nearly dies. Nearly gets crushed, man. Maybe that's the way you gotta kill this Godzilla. You just gotta bury him. You just gotta crush him under something. Kind of like what they try in Godzilla Raids Again and Godzilla Monster Planet. Godzilla always looked small to me in this moment. I don't know if that's the case with anyone else, but that shot, the wide shot with him looking at forward, he always looks kind of small. I think it's a sad moment, but I think it would have been more effective if Godzilla's eyes were larger. So you could really actually feel the connection between the two of them. No, it's not a 4K film, man. It's a 4K upscale. It's just when you upscale this film into 4K, not that there is an actual 4K version of the movie. Yeah, it's the perspective. Yeah. Kind of is a 98 reference, isn't it? Or a little reminiscent of the 98 film. I like that she just eats the guys here, too. The way she just chomps down on these soldiers. Pretty sweet. Female Muto's a force to be reckoned with for sure. And I love that the soldiers fight to the last second. You know, they don't retreat. They fight to the last second. Although I'm not entirely sure that Ford could get away in time here. I think the bomb would still do some major damage to the city. How's everyone's viewing going? You managing to see everything? My screen is an awesome screen. I'm watching this on a 4K monitor. I'm seeing things all right, but it is very dark. Shame Graham got the same treatment as the random soldiers. For real. I love that the Muto stops him and comes and just kind of dicks with him right here. Because she knows, and that shot where she just looks like a spider, dude. She looks like the Stranger Things season 2 monster. Here's our ninja Godzilla. This is such a cool part, man. I can't even see Godzilla. Too dark, too dark. So dark. He's so chunky in this scene, Godzilla. Watch the dorsal fins here during the Kiss of Death. By the way, Kiss of Death. Kiss of Death is still the greatest finisher in the MonsterVerse. I know back in 2017, I said that... I fucking love that. I know back in 2017, I said that the Skullcrawler death tops that, but with the retrospective, in retrospective, it does not. God, I love that moment so much. So much. And if you watch Godzilla's dorsal fins in that scene, it's really cool the way they don't just end, they don't flicker out. The dorsal fins go out up his back, so that they go out up with the atomic breath. So you can kind of like watch the atomic energy finish streaming through his body through the dorsal fins. It's really cool. It's a nice detail. There's always a cool shot as well of Godzilla collapsing in the city. Yeah, right there, though, the Kiss of Death is absolutely where I would have played Godzilla's Ifukube music. I know I already edited that video on the channel before, but man, if any moment in this film begs for the Ifukube music, that is the moment. That's when you get your, your Godzilla march. The only moment in the film where Godzilla looks at human, it's pretty hard to make film where your title character never spares or looks at another person. So there's Gareth talking about Godzilla looking at Ford. I was gifted an atomic breath model but accidentally left his blue breath behind. I was told to come back and collect it in a paper bag. I felt dirty. There's Gareth as well. I'm just reading what he's writing at the moment. We tried so many different ways to do Godzilla's knockout blow to the Muto. I suggested this one as a joke, but it stuck. Thank God it stuck. Yeah, how did they know Ford was on that boat? I guess they probably didn't. They probably didn't know it was going to be Ford. They probably thought it was going to be some other soldier. Right here's the part where I'd be a little nervous. I'd be nervous that he was going to fall out if I were one of the other soldiers on that helicopter with him. And this is a good fade to daytime. I think this is a very effective transition. Like I said, this movie is super well edited. What I love about this scene is the bomb's radiation mutates his ear slightly. Did I read that right? Mutilates his ear slightly. You can see the burning at the edge, at the ending of the scene. You're right, yes. I totally read mutate, and I was like, I don't recall anything getting mutated in this movie. But yeah, there's the charred up ear. You're already at the savior of our city? Man, you're slightly ahead of me. I'm at 153, 13, 14, 15, 16. I remember coming to the realization in the theater that that Elle was going to get out and she was going to be reunited with her family here, and it made me mucho happy. And if you didn't use Ifukube's theme during Godzilla's killing of the Muto, this ending sequence right here is the place to use it. I know I made the custom theme back in the day. I'd probably rework that if I were to do it now, but again, this is the moment where I think Godzilla's Ifukube music would be really effective. Not this particular scene of him waking up, but the scene of him later on walking. That's actually a really good point, Godzilla 154. The Russells might be inside the stadium right now. In canon, the Russells might be taking refuge in that stadium. I like this moment. The two of them looking at each other. Think Sam even knew what was going on, man? Think Sam even had any idea how close to death his father was? I don't think he did. And right here. King of the monsters, savior of our city. So good, dude. Right here is where Ifukube's music should be playing. Man, I love it. Watch Dr. Graham. Oh, she got the hands over the mouth again. She kisses his mutated ear. Nasty. I have noticed that since I've seen this movie. Did you say mutated or did you say mutilated? I think I read mutilated wrong again. And I love the victory roar there. Not as effective as his victory roar in King of the Monsters, but pretty solid. And then him returning to sea is always classic. Those waves should have definitely just washed up on that pier, however. At the very least, they should have overflowed that pier, but whatever. And there you go, man. Godzilla 2014. And then you got the classic theme song. Dun, 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 dun. So good, dude. Too good. See if Gareth has anything to say. Okay, so you can argue that Ford dies here and the stadium is heaven. I've thought about that. I've thought about that interpretation as well. I was about to say that during this screening, but I didn't want to say it. I should have said that, man. Now Gareth Edwards is saying it? What the hell? I wish I was able to see this with the G-Fest audience. Me too. That would have been awesome. Satan's Charisma, thank you very much for the donation. He says, not $99 this time, but hi. Well, thank you very much for the donation regardless, man. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Big shout out to who is this? DNEG and NPC Films for doing such a stellar job at all the VFX in this movie. Absolutely. The last moment was Elizabeth Olsen's first day of shooting. What a star. Man, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they shot this film that out of order. Akio. What did I call him? Takashi? Kid's name is Akio. You're right. I wonder if Ford's ear will be the villain in Godzilla vs. Kong. I wonder if it's going to mutate into Destroya. Guys, I think we're on to something. That ear's straight up about to be Destroya. We're so smart. Let's turn on the Kiss of Death to celebrate the film. I'm letting the credits play, by the way. Credits are still rolling. I've got 4 minutes, 52 seconds left. What, you really think I was going to turn the movie off in the middle of the credits? What, are you silly? Of course I'm going to still have them up. Finally finished the movie? Nice. The ear mutates into Andrew too, and then it dies again. It is over, yes. Well, I gotta go. See you soon. See you later, SP Goody fan. All right, let's see if I missed any donations. Did I miss any donations while I was watching the film? Where can I log in? What does the tweet mean? All people in chat give Fs. I think the CG looks really good. I like kaiju film. They should have kept Joe alive. I love Brian play Joe. Alden Tolbert. I think I did read that. Andrew is deader than our chances of getting Tricer. I did read all the super chats. I'm caught up. Good, good, good. Didn't want to miss any. Can't wait for next week. Me too, man. My favorite MonsterVerse movie coming next week. I'm super excited for that. That's going to be awesome. 203 people watching this stream. Thank you so much to everybody who tuned in to the Godzilla 2014 watch along. I love this movie, man. I love Godzilla 2014. I someday need to sit down and actually attempt to do a solo commentary for the film. But I think this live reaction was pretty good. I enjoyed interacting with you guys. I know I actually interacted with you guys a lot more than I actually watched the movie, but I loved this. I had such a fun time. I was so excited to do this live stream. I had such a good time, man. They just showed a cut shot from Godzilla 2014. On Twitter, you mean? I'll have to check. Is that true? Pull it up right now. Because I just closed Twitter on my laptop so that I could do this with you guys. You like all my typing? This is what it looks like when I tweet. I'm not seeing Godzilla on Twitter. I'm gonna need everyone with a Twitter right now to head over to Twitter and start spamming Godzilla. Kong Skull Island coming next week. Can't wait. All right, let's see. I do not see any deleted scenes revealed. I must be missing whatever it is you're referring to. God, that movie's so good. I love Godzilla 2014 so much. Oh, I see what you're saying now. I do see it. The Legendary is the one who tweeted it. Max Bornstein, the screenwriter cameo. That never made the cut. Sadly, his acting skills were not as good as his writing that day. Ouch! Damn, they got him. What about the Kiritaka Rada thing that got cut from the movie? Where is that? Do we have any footage of that? I'm also still listening to the end credits, by the way. I've got a minute left. Thank you so much. The Offensive... What the hell? Offensive Invalid. Offensive 96, whatever. Thank you for the donation. He says Brody is the luckiest mofo out there. I agree. Tweeted. Everyone go tweet hashtag Godzilla right now. Why is this not trending? It might be trending. I just can't see it. Why is Godzilla not trending? You guys gotta get Godzilla trending. Yeah, where is that Akira Takarada cameo? Where is it? And there the credits go. We're at the Warner Brothers logo, back when it was still called Warner Brothers Pictures. And it's over. Well, thank you guys all for joining me on that watch along. I had a great time doing that, man. It was trending when the watch along first started. That's awesome. I did not know that. I wish it could have stayed trending. Show us the Akira Takarada cut. Exactly. Where is that scene? That's all I want from this movie is the Akira Takarada cameo. I can't believe it's been cut. Time for us to go through all the special features. I know, dude. I'm going to be digging through these tweets for a while. Reading everything on Twitter. So what Twitters do we have to look at? We have to look at the Nerdist Twitter, we have to look at Legendary, and we have to look at Godzilla Twitter. So those are the Twitters we got to look out for. I was keeping up with the Godzilla Twitter simply because the Legendary one at the start of the movie was only doing Easter eggs that I already knew, and so I did not want to read those. I wanted to read what Gareth had to say. Also, Gareth never did a commentary for this movie, so I wanted that. 6 years ago, dang. I'm going to feel so old when Godzilla 2014 turns 10 years old. That's going to really probably be the first film to hit me that hard. When Iron Man turned 10, that was a moment where I was like, wow, I've been watching movies in theaters. Like, I can remember watching movies 10 years ago, which I guess shouldn't surprise me because I can remember watching King Kong 2005 in theaters, but it was just like a moment where I was like, I've been watching the MCU for 10 years. But when the MonsterVerse turns 10, I'm going to feel so old. You came here and jumped back to Twitter back and forth. I respect that. This was my exact tweet given to Twitter. I composed. Hashtag Godzilla will be spammed at D-Man's request. Hell yeah. Hashtag Godzilla, you get it. Hell yeah. King Kong came out 15 years ago. That makes me feel old. I feel that. Man. Will you do a separate video on the tweets? I probably will. I was 17 when Godzilla 2014 came out. I'm going to be 24 when Godzilla vs. Kong comes out. Isn't that crazy to think about? Godzilla's entire franchise is 65 years old. Do you feel old now? Now do you feel old? No, I don't, because I was not alive 65 years ago to experience the first film coming out. We were 16 when it came out. Everyone should spam Kong before the movie comes out. Next week. This week's Godzilla week. Actually, I've been thinking. I'm going to change my computer background right now to Godzilla 2014. It's currently King of the Monsters. My background is currently Godzilla tackling Ghidorah into the building. But I feel like each week I should change my background to whatever the MonsterVerse movie is day by day. So we're starting out here with 2014. My first computer background ever. When I very first built my computer, I had this exact background. It's actually very nostalgic looking at it. I never thought I'd get nostalgic for looking at a computer wallpaper, but good Lord, it just happened. In 13 years, Kong 33 will be 100 years old. Now do you feel old? When that happens, that's going to be an awesome day to celebrate. It's also cool to think about. The last movie I got to see in theaters was King Kong 33 before theaters got closed down. That's a cool thought. The last film I got to see in theaters was Kong. I'm thankful for what the series has done, and I appreciate it bringing us all together. I've loved this chat, and I've had a lot of fun. I'm eagerly awaiting Kong Skull next week, my guys. Me too, man. I hope you're back in the chat next week, because I enjoyed this a lot. I hope you come back. That'd be awesome. Everyone's heading out. I'm about to head out too. I see the stream health is not as strong as it could be. So I'm about to head out here as well. So send in any final thoughts and whatnot. And yeah, I'm going to head out. So fun fact, concept art showed several other Toho monsters such as Gigan. So you're talking about King of the Monsters right now. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Give us the Akira Takarada cut. Akira Takarada cut. It's only one scene. Please, Legendary Warner Bros. Do it. We out here, bro. I don't know what my brother's talking about. He's just saying we out here. This was so much fun. Can't wait for next week. Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'm very, very happy that this watch along series is happening. Having a great time with it with this one. I'm super excited for next week. Cannot wait to see you guys all there. This was such an awesome experience, man. To sum it all up, I love Godzilla 2014. It's one of my favorite movies. And super grateful to Legendary for doing this, for hosting such a fun event, having a great time, and I will absolutely see you guys here next week. So thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you guys next week for the next one. It'll be same time, same place. It'll be 5 o'clock, right? That's when it started? Am I remembering wrong? I think it started at 5, right? Started at 5, I think. So I'll see you guys next week. Thanks, everybody. D-Man, out.